everybody, how you doing? This is Craig from Stumpy Grump Scale Speed Shop, and I got another episode of my completed builds. This one will be number 11, and it will cover builds 51 through 55. So let's get the camera on and get going on it. Okay, to start things off, we're going to start with the 1955 Chevy Bel-Air Sedan from AMT in 1/25th scale. This one is done in a two-tone orange and white. I call it creamsicle, custom mixed using craft paints. I can't even begin to remember which ones I used. I used about 3 or 4 to come up with this color, really. And I used an Anita's metallic white for the roof and the trunk for the white part there. Looks like a pearl. Really nice color. You can call white a color. Couple things you'll see on this one right away is you see the Pegasus wheels and tires. You see the big old Outlaw cowl induction hood from Lexus Scale Modeling. Pretty nice. Sits pretty high up, but not too bad. Not too bad. I like it. I like the look. I used the AMT 1970.5 Baldwin Motion Cameo engine on this one, and I also used the side exhaust, made it a little different so that it didn't quite come out the side, but close enough. For all the window trim, I tried something new that kind of a one-time deal for me as far as doing trim, is I use Green Stuff World Chrome, and I taped it off and airbrushed it on. I did black undercoat first, and then I airbrushed it on. It's this stuff here, Green Stuff World Chrome, for the airbrush. I'm not going to be using it for trim. I only used it once, like I said, but I do use it for other things like exhausts and stuff like that. You can make it kind of look like a stainless steel, not exactly chrome, or you can make it look chrome, but a little bit much work for me. I just prefer to do the bare metal foil on things. I did actually do bare metal foil for the spear trim here on the sides. I did not want to tape that off and do that, so I did do that in bare metal foil. Okay, zooming in on the engine compartment, you see I put a big block in it. The big block from the AMT 1970.5 Baldwin Motion Camaro. Wired it, spark plug wires, and I added some heater hoses. And you can see I added the Axle coil, again from MAD Modeling, Morgan Automotive Detail. Come back out and take a look at the interior. The orange shifter. And I'll take you to the other side. Actually a 5. I don't really think you can see it on the shifter there, maybe. Make it look like the cue ball, the 5 ball. No real chance at the back seat through the glass. You see where I hand painted the hood emblem. And we'll come back out. So as far as the kit itself goes, a lot of you guys are familiar with it. I can't say it's a great kit. I can't say it's a bad kit. It's pretty neat, pretty cool. It does have a few issues, but a little bit of patience and ingenuity, you can build up a pretty nice looking 55, even not going the route that I did. You know, I see a lot of Pro Street ones. You can do them factory stock. But me, I found the front suspension a little tricky. And when you look at the underneath, it actually only has one exhaust. I kind of did a hack job cutting the exhaust off, so I'm not really going to show the underneath. Cheating a little bit there, but just a few things to remember about the kit, but not bad. I got another one to do. I haven't quite decided 100% what I'm going to do with it. I might go Pro Street with it. Probably go Pro Street with it instead. So as soon as I figure out that one, what I want to do with it, I'll be building it. Okay, up next we have the Revell Monogram 1997 Chevrolet Corvette Coupe. I did this one in what I tried to do a mixture to make fairway green, the factory fairway green color. I used a metallic green, mixed a little bit of black with it to darken it a little bit. This one is done 100% box stock. I actually cleared it with Pledge floor gloss. Might be the last car I actually cleared with that stuff. I use it mainly just for windshields and for getting a leather look or whatnot in an interior. But it did the job. It looks pretty good. I didn't want it overly shiny anyways. Okay, and I'll zoom in on the engine on this one. No wiring or anything like that. The LS engine, kind of hard to see anyway, the engine cover and all, but just some nice underhood decals that you get for detailing. I hand painted the Corvette lettering on there. Swing around carefully so the hood doesn't close, which it did. And again, you just see some paint detailing and stuff like that. No extra wiring or anything. But it looks pretty good. Okay, we'll come around to the interior. Again, just some basic detail painting with some different shades of black, gloss and satin and flat and whatnot. And with the dash, you get a decal. Can't really see it for the gauges, because you also get a clear glass cover for them. Shot of the seats and the console. This one was not too bad of a kit, actually. As far as that goes, there's 113 pieces, so there's quite a few pieces. It's not like a little snap together or anything like that. So quite a few little details included in it. Hardly any decals for sure. Just your emblem on here on the back and on the front, and as you saw in the engine compartment, some engine compartment decals. I had a little bit of an issue. The only issue I really had with this one actually was on the driver's side, getting the little fender well here to not put down. I mean, the ride height looks right, but for some reason it doesn't do that necessarily too badly on the passenger side, just the driver's side. That's the only kibosh I really have on this kit. Pretty decent if you're into somewhat newer vehicles. I would recommend this one. Okay, so up next is going to be the AMT 1955 Chevy Cameo pickup. And this one I kind of modified quite a bit. I used a lot of parts from the Revell SSR kit. So I kind of want to call this one the Chevy Cameo SSR. It's painted in Createx Pearl Turquoise with Createx 4050 UVLS gloss clear, wet sanded, polished, and waxed. The SSR parts include the wheels and tires, the side mirrors, the seats, the engine, transmission, and exhaust, and radiator. So quite a few parts from the SSR kit. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on the chassis here. The exhaust, I did use the Revell SSR exhaust. It connects to the engine and pretty much fits right in there, you know, so not too bad, not too bad. Okay, and then moving on into the engine compartment, you see the Revell SSR LS engine. I just detail painted that. That's not actual wires or anything like that. Use the engine, all the hoses, and the radiator. For this one. And the other side. We'll take a quick look at the interior. I made the column shifter out of a piece of wire. Dabbed a little bit of crazy glue, super glue at the end, and just painted it with Molotow chrome. And there you see the SSR seats. And we'll go around to the bed. It is painted. Bare metal foil. I used prescription pill bottles for the inner fenders there. Not a perfect job, but pretty good. We'll go to the other side of the steering wheel. And on the other side you can see turn signal lever that once again I made out of wire. A little more detail there. And barely see that little lower part right there. Tilt steering lever. I can hold the camera still. You can barely see the gauge decal. Better view of the SSR seats. And I did use the SSR mirrors too. Bring it back out for the side mirrors. You could look at also the SSR wheels and tires. So yeah, half SSR, half Chevy Cameo. Put the hood back on. You can see I opened up the grill too. I can see it too well, but I opened up the grill on this one as well. First time doing that, that was a bit of a trick. Generally speaking, it's a pretty decent kit. I modified it quite a bit, so I can't really tell you how it goes together as kitted and stock version. I can say that everybody knows about this one. The front and rear windshield are a little bit too small. They don't fit too well. What I did is I took some .010 by .030 styrene strip and I glued it to the inside of the cab around the window edges, so that I had a little bit of something there to cover the gaps. There's still a little bit of gap in there, a little bit right there on each side, but generally speaking, it came out pretty good, I think. So that's about the only real issue I see with that. I inverted the rear end, leaf springs or whatnot, to lower it in the back. I cut and flattened the leaf springs in the front to get the front down like that. Yeah, so kind of hard to say. I talked about my inner fender arcs there, but pretty fun. I had a lot of fun with it. Turned out pretty good. I really like it. One of my favorites. Okay, next is the AMT 1967 Mustang GT Fastback in 1/25th scale. I did this one in a custom mix of craft paints. I really like mixing up craft paints to get custom colors. This one I tried to copy the Ford Brittany Blue. I think I got it pretty close. I did bare metal foil for the trim. The tires are Tampo printed. The Firestone wide ovals are printed on there from they come that way in the kit. I did notice though that for these tires, for the updated version of the kit here, the wheels and the wheel backs are wider than the tire. So they stick out. They don't fit right, they don't look right, they don't fit right inside the fender wells. So I did some work on them and cut them off to get them to fit right. It does sit a little high in the front. These Mustangs kind of did in the first place from the factory, but this one a little bit more. I did lower it a little bit, but I could probably lower a little bit more too, but no biggie. I like it. It looks pretty good. Okay, we'll take a look underneath the Mustang here. You see the red oxide primer I used for, or mixed some paint to look like red oxide for the chassis. Detail painted the gas tank and the exhaust. And all the front suspension bits. Sanded down the tires. Move on into the engine compartment. I added the plug wires. Did them in blue. Some detail painting here and there. You see the Fomoco on the reservoir there, the bag, and then a couple more detail decals that you get in the decal sheet. Move along to the interior. I added door locks. I did bare metal foil on the dashboard and the door panels and the console, and actually the seats. For the console, the door panels, and the dash, I also just brushed on a coat of matte clear to give it that aluminum look instead of the chrome. The wood dash, or wood steering wheel, I should say, and shifter knob. And moving to the other side, we'll zoom in on the gauges and stuff, which are decals too, along with the horn button. And the back seat. It's kind of not focusing. There we are. The passenger door panels. The kit itself builds up really nice. The only real issues is that just the ride height in the front and the wheel backs and the wheels not fitting the tires very well. The interior goes together really well. It's really, there's some really good molded in details, really deeply etched, so you can really get in there and with your paintbrush and pick them out and end up with like a really nice interior. You saw the engine compartment, not too bad either, and the chassis. So generally speaking, this is a pretty decent kit. Really nice details. They outdid themselves on the interior. Okay, and rounding out this one is the Revell 1971 Plymouth GTX. This is the Dom's 71 GTX kit. This is in 1/24 scale. This one can be done as both Dom's GTX, although the engine I'm sure is not the same, or in factory stock trim. I chose factory stock trim. It's painted in Model Master Sublime Green. It's actually cleared with Krylon Shortcuts clear. Pretty decent clear. Wet sanded, polished, and waxed. I used, I believe, I want to say they're Fred Cady decals. The strobe stripe decal and on the hood. I didn't run down the side. It seemed a little bit too much. I just stopped them right there. I cut them off. Just nice little subtle. The hood needed something, so nice and subtle little piece there. The trim is bare metal foil. I shaved off the GTX emblems. And as far as the wheels and tires go, they're the kit tires, but what I did is I took the wheels and I cut the ring off the wheel, and I took, actually this is a 1/24 scale, so I took 1/25 scale Magnum 500s from the Revell 1968 Dodge Charger 2-in-1 Special Edition kit. I cut those as well, and I just kind of glued them together, and I made the Magnum 500s for it, because I didn't have any in that size. I didn't want to use the kit rally, so I like that look, so that's what I did there. Made my own. Okay, we'll take a look at the underside of this one. You see the overspray, the Sublime Green. I did some detail painting here. just a little bit, not overly. I took a silver Sharpie and was able to get the brake lines there and the fuel lines kind of outlined a little bit. Those were molded in details on the chassis. Pretty nice. And around to the back of the car. And look at the tailpipes from underneath. And we'll get a shot into the engine. The coil, there's from off the sprue, machined aluminum coil. I did the heater hoses. I used red for the heater hoses. And you can see the spark plug wiring. Kind of loose side of it going around underneath the exhaust pipe there, the exhaust manifold. And there you can see them coming out of the distributor a little bit better. Suppose I could put the air cleaner on for this one, huh? And that's what it looks like with the air cleaner on. Hides a few more details, but you see that. Into the interior. I did do the wood grain for the dash and the door panels. And painted those. On the other side. You see the decals for the gauges. And the wood grain for the center console. Again, hand painted. Oops. Dropped the phone there. Look at the back seat. And the wood grain continues into the back seat. There we go. Kind of hard to get the phone camera to focus sometimes, but there it is. Sorry about that. Most of you guys are familiar with this one. This one's been around for a while. It's an old Monogram mold, the 1/24 scale. There's only 87 parts in it. It's a pretty easy build. It's not too bad in details. You know, they're nicely etched into the door panels and dashboard and stuff like that. So you can do a lot of detail painting and stuff like that to really make it look good. You don't have to have a lot of parts to make a car look detailed. But pretty good kit. Hardly any flash. The typical Monogram build where it just basically builds itself. You could throw some glue in the box, separate all the parts from the tree, throw some glue in the box, shake it up, and it'll build itself. You know, most of those Monogram kits will do that. I actually do have another one of these too that I'm not sure what direction I'm going to take with it, but yeah, so the 3 of these cars in here I actually have duplicates of. But really nice kit, really easy to do.